What could I do to change my income and multiply it by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10, and then multiply it by 10 again? What could I do? And he started giving me the disciplines and the process of learning the skills to change my life. This was an extraordinary man. Those were extraordinary times for me, life-changing in every manner that you can imagine, but very simple ABC concepts. Here's what I learned. Not to search for the exotic until you've discovered the basic. And those basic philosophies that he shared with me during that time were life-changing, and he called it personal development. Now, in the understanding of personal development, let's go through it quickly. You jot these ideas down. First, for personal development, we must understand the law of the seasons and the lesson of the seasons, which prompted that first book, the first book of mine, Seasons of Life. Here's the phrase, life and business is like the changing seasons. Frank Sinatra used to sing, life is like the seasons. Next phrase, you cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. The seasons are set. As soon as we arrive on this spinning planet headed somewhere, that's the question to ask. What is the setup? First, so I can survive. Second, so I can succeed. So one of the first things to do is to learn the rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of night and day. Day follows night. Night follows day. Opportunity follows difficulty. Difficulty follows opportunity. Recession follows expansion. Regularly. Expansion follows recession. Sadness follows joy. Joy follows sadness. It's called the rhythm of life. So in the seasons now, make these notes. First, learn to handle the winters. Hopefully each winter we get stronger by the process of the experience of the past winters, learning the lessons of the past to apply to the present. In the winter you have to hang on. In the winter you have to endure. It's part of the rhythm of life. And there's all kinds of winters. Physical winters and personal winters and political winters. Communism cast a long shadow on 1/3 of the world in that long winter of despotism. About 75, 80 years it lasted. Political winters, social winters, spiritual winters. Personal winters, when things don't work well. Barbara Streisand sings, it used to be so natural to talk about forever, but used to be's don't count anymore. They just lay on the floor till we sweep them away. You don't sing me love songs, you don't say you need me, and you don't bring me flowers anymore. A song of winter. But we're all acquainted with those experiences. But here's the key, you must just hang on in the winter. Make the note, it doesn't last forever. Some winters seem longer than others. Some winters seem tougher than others. Some winters are more critical and crucial than others. But here's the note, they will pass. The night can only be a few hours. As far as we know, there's never been a double night. And the whole key to this is, surely you can make it just a few hours. Hang on. Whether it's playing a game or whether it's an enterprise, the winters do come. Mickey Mantle, my hero back in those days of the Yankees. Wow. He used to get in the batting slump. It was tragic to watch. See, this is the home run king. This is the fastest man in baseball. This is one of the most accomplished players ever to play the game. But he used to have these terrible slumps when it seemed like he couldn't get a hit or he couldn't get very many and he couldn't hit home runs. And someone asked him one time, what do you start changing? He said, I don't change anything. He said, what do you do? He said, I wait till it's over. Right? You just keep swinging and you just keep hanging in there until finally it passes. Maybe you need a little touch of refinement, but for the most part, here's what you have to do. Endure. Because the winter finally passes and the night finally fades away and the daylight comes and the shadows flee away. So the winters we just have to handle. Here's what's next, the spring. Spring always comes. Opportunity follows difficulty. Day follows night. Here's what spring is called, opportunity. Spring is not a guarantee. It's guaranteed to come, but it's not spring that guarantees the harvest. Here's what you must do. Use the spring to your best advantage. And you've got to hurry because spring is usually not very long. The short season of spring reminds us of urgency. If you want a full harvest, come harvest time, you've got to take advantage, but you must do it quickly. Spring is the opportunity to meet someone. Sometimes you have to do it quickly. Here's a person, you say, be nice to meet that person, but before you get a chance to say hello, they're gone. In space language, we call it window of opportunity. If the rocket doesn't launch and if the spacecraft doesn't go in an appointed time, it's got to wait for another cycle of times. If you don't get it planted this spring, you've got to wait for another cycle of seasons before you have another chance. So, the urgency of spring. Life is brief, so take advantage of every spring you can get for your lifetime. The Beatles wrote, life is very short. And for John Lennon, it was extra short. For Michael Landon, it was extra short. For my dear business colleague, Mark Hughes, it was extra short. He died at age 44. So, it's brief. Bill Bailey reminded me, it's easy to say I've got 20 more years, but here, that sometimes fakes you out, saying I've got 20 more years, meaning it looks like you got a lot of time. But here's what he said, if you go fishing once a year, you've only got 20 more times to go fishing. Not 20 years to go fishing, 20 times. So you've got to make each time count when the opportunity comes, each time. So take into account the brevity of life. My father lived to be 93, but it seemed so short. I kept asking for another 10 years, another 10 years, and finally, it ran out. But 93 is not bad, but it still seemed short. So it is short. So pick up the urgency of spring now. Knock on every door to find the opportunity. Search and search till you find answers for your future. And do it quickly, because spring is short. What if you asked a farmer to go bowling in the spring? He would say, insanity. You can go bowling in the winter, but you can't go bowling in the spring. Good note to make. What to do in springtime. But here's what you must learn to do. Underline these two words in that key phrase. Take advantage. Underline those two. You must learn to take advantage of the spring. See, just because spring rolls around is no sign you're going to look good come fall. You got to do something with it. In fact, you have to get good at one of two things in life. Planting in the spring or begging in the fall. Or get somebody to do it for you. See, those are about the only alternatives. They don't come forever. Life is fairly brief. So you got to read every book you can get your hands on what to do with your springs while they're here. And take advantage, they soon run out. So whatever you're going to do with your life, you got to get at it. Don't just let the springs pass. Learn how to protect your crops all summer. You got to take care of what you start. Sure enough, as soon as you've planted your garden in the spring, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. And here's the next bit of truth. They will take it unless you prevent it. You've got to learn to prevent the intruder from taking all the good you start. It's one of the challenges. Here's two key phrases under number 3. First one, all good will be attacked on this planet. Maybe not the next one we get to, but on this one, all good will be attacked. Every garden will be invaded. Not to think so is naive. And here's the second phrase. All values must be defended. Political values, social values, community values, family values, marriage values, friendship values, business values. Every garden must be tended all summer. Learn how to reap in the fall without complaint. Learn to reap come harvest time without complaint. Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you've passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity. I used to have that long list of reasons why I wasn't doing well. To explain. You got to explain, right? Otherwise you're going to look bad. I used to have this funny list called Reasons for Not Looking Good. I used to blame the government. I mean, you can believe that or not. It was at the top of my list. I had a lecture second to none. The government. That was on my list. I used to blame taxes. Look what you got left after they take everything. And they expect you to do well. That was on my list there. Prices, that one's easy, right? You walk into the supermarket with $20, come out with a little half bag. So I had that on my list. I used to blame the weather. I blamed the traffic. I used to blame my car. I blamed the manufacturers. I used to blame the company. I blamed company policy. I used to blame the training program. I blamed my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blamed my cynical neighbors. They're just selfish, looking out for themselves. Won't loan you money? They were on my list. I used to blame the economy. I blamed the community. That's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was good. I'll never forget one day, Mr. Schoaf was very kind, but he was also very blunt. And this was no exception. And I'm glad he was blunt. There's a lot of things I'd have missed if he hadn't have been blunt. One day, with sort of a curious look on his face, he said, "Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me, how come you haven't done well up until now?" Excellent question. I thought, well, so I won't look too bad, I'll go through my list. And this list I just gave you, I put that on him. And he was very patient. He let me go through the whole thing, the government, the weather. I went through this whole thing. When I finished, he looked my list over very carefully. He said, "Mr. Rohn, big problem with your list. You ain't on it." I learned very quickly to tear up my list, reasons for not doing well, and I threw it away. And I got me a fresh piece of paper. And I put one word on it. Me.
Chẳng được quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em đã quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không còn mơ em anh nhận màu. Em chỉ cần mơ đâu em bay. Chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá. Cho bên mơ em không mơ anh. Anh một đêm mơ. Chỉ cần bên em không được cần nhớ. Và chỉ có em không còn nhớ. Và người ta bên nhau như ngã tớ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây. Và anh như muốn chết đi nhưng không muốn em mơ mày. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu. Không em như nằm ngâm màu. Anh như đang mong cầu. Và mưa bên em ngô sầu. Chào các bạn mai em mơ. Chỉ có bên em nhưng là khó mơ. Em vẫn đang dài. Em muốn bên ai. Anh không mong gì hơn. Chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau. Và đừng em đâu anh có em. Một đêm bên anh có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu. Ôm anh.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me. I don't think that my head's on straight, gotta flip it and grip it and go and get an x-ray. What's wrong with me? I just feel weight pushing on my chest and it squeezes till I suffocate. Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life, everyday, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. 'Cause all I want, and I pray. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I work hard or live at my pace? You're only young once, yeah that's all great, but I also want a future where I'm okay. Living life is doing lots of cocaine. Wait no, it's living with no shame. Wait no, it's sleeping in on Sundays. I guess it's different for each of us and that's okay. Well I just wanna be happy. How to get there? Glad that you asked me. I think it's different for everyone. Some of us need work, others need fun. Some of us need purpose to overcome. But try to do what you love when it's said and done. Cause there's so many differences in each of us. Trust your gut, it can show you what you want. Living life, everyday, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear.
You won't die if you try. You just might get a little bit of trouble. K-O-I-F-E, right in your side. You would never see me coming. You won't die if you try. You just might get a little bit of trouble. K-O-I-F-E, right in your side. You would never see me
My energy is next level, so damn you better be careful. I got an angel and devil, he snaps me straight in the temple. I'm ready to be a rebel, I've got a lot of potential hidden inside of this vessel. That shit is so exponential. I need a first class ticket to the top, no limit. I don't play no gimmicks, I'ma take you to the clinic. If you want a taste, come at me and you will be replaced. They won't find a trace of you anywhere or any place. Oh!